fellow movie buffs and film connoisseurs, it is your self-proclaimed cinema shogun here, and the more and more I look into this Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case, the crazier and crazier it seems to get. And as a YouTuber who primarily covers movie news and Hollywood drama, I asked myself, should I even make a video about this situation? And if so, what can I really add to the conversation? But then I got to thinking that if it wasn't for random YouTubers and people on TikTok and social media, Gabby's body probably wouldn't have been found. Because ultimately, it wasn't the news or law enforcement that found Gabby's bodies, it was YouTubers who led law enforcement to her whereabouts. And then I got to thinking, well, how can I apply my love of movies and my movie knowledge to this case to add to this conversation? And as I was digging through Brian Laundrie's various social media platforms, I kept noticing this reoccurring theme. He kept posting these quotes from a movie called Fight Club. Now, I know a lot of people who are interested in this case are younger. They might not know about the movie Fight Club. And honestly, I found it interesting that someone of Brian Laundrie's age seemed to be so obsessed with Fight Club. Now, if this was just a one-off thing and it was just, oh, here's one movie quote from some random movie, I would have passed by it and wouldn't have thought much of it. But as I go through his various social media platforms and all these social media posts, I keep noticing that he keeps posting these quotes from Fight Club. And then I go on his Instagram, and he's drawing these pictures from Fight Club. And then I go on Gabby's Instagram, and here's a picture of this Fight Club book that she's reading while they're out hiking in the wild. And then I go back to his Instagram, and there's that same Fight Club book on one of his tables with some various artwork. And I get to wondering, what is this obsession that he has with Fight Club? And I don't want to necessarily call it an obsession, but when you look through all of his social medias, there's only one thing, or maybe two things, that you could really pinpoint that Brian Laundrie is interested in. For one, he seems to be really interested in the outdoors world, you know, going out and hiking and camping and this, that, and the third, but he also seems to really love Fight Club. And I'm not here to say that this is important in the case in any way. I'm not here to say that, oh, this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, that leads us everyone to find Brian. That's not what I'm here to say. But when it comes to a case like this, I think a lot of people's interest comes from what drove this person to do this? What made this person do this? Were there signs that this person was the type of person to take their own fiance's life? What's the motive behind this? What's the thought process behind the killer? Like, what's going on in their head? You know, I feel like a lot of people are asking those questions, and a lot of people wonder those type of things when it comes to a case like this. And when I keep seeing that he keeps posting these Fight Club quotes and different things like that, I get to thinking, and I apply my movie knowledge. And I'm like, well, for one, what is really Fight Club about? What is Fight Club about? And I know a lot of people who are interested in the Gabby Petito case seem to be a little bit younger. A lot of them probably have never seen Fight Club. But Fight Club basically is about this guy who has an alter ego of himself. He has a split personality who's a little more violent than him, a little more cocky than him. You know, this normal guy in the office that you don't think twice about. This is normal, everyday Joe. But then he has this alter ego that's Brad Pitt, who likes to whoop ass, and he's really violent, and beats people up, and starts this Fight Club. So I get to thinking, why does Brian connect with this book and this movie Fight Club so much that he has to post quotes about it on all of his social media platforms, and he posts pictures of it, and he draws his pictures of it? Maybe he's battling with his own alter ego. Maybe he's battling with his own split personality. And then we hear reports from one of Gabby's friends that Brian was hearing voices in his head, kind of like the guy on Fight Club, who heard this voice in his head, who had this whole other person made up in his head, that this entire time he thought he was talking to this different person and interacting with this different person, and that this person was his friend, and all this, that, and the third, but in reality, that person was just a made-up alter ego in his mind. So for Brian to feel so deeply connected to this Fight Club makes me ask the question, maybe Brian was dealing with an alter ego of his own. Maybe that's why you can go on social media and it looks like they're totally happy. Because maybe they are totally happy sometimes. But maybe Brian has this alter ego, a more violent alter ego, that comes out of him. And like I said, we've had reports that maybe Brian was hearing voices in his head. We've heard reports that he's really quick to lash out and hot-tempered, which is kind of like Brad Pitt from Fight Club. And I don't want to be, seem like I'm reaching too far here or anything like that. Like I stated earlier, I don't feel like this is like a key piece of evidence to solve the case or anything like that. But if you're really trying to dive deeper into the situation and the psyche of these people and what makes people make these decisions, and you're really trying to figure out Brian, what type of person Brian is, I feel like this is something significant to look at, especially considering the fact that much of his social medias are basically just him posting about Fight Club. So, yeah, I believe that there's a possibility that the reason that Brian connected so deeply with this movie and with this book is because maybe he was battling with a split personality or alter ego of his own. And then that leads me to another conclusion. What's the main takeaway from Fight Club? What's the number one rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. If anyone knows anything about the movie Fight Club, they know the number one rule, and that's that you don't talk about Fight Club. Now, I don't know how manipulative Brian could have been. We know that some say he's a critical thinker. We know that he's had this abusive relationship with Gabby. We don't know the limits. Maybe he could have been mentally abusive, verbally abusive. We know that he was physically abusive. So could this book have been a way to, I don't want to say brainwash, but to reaffirm the theme in Gabby's mind? Like, hey, you don't talk about Fight Club, as in, hey, you don't talk about us. You don't talk about what goes on between us. Maybe he gave that book to Gabby to read to kind of reaffirm those thoughts in her mind as a form of manipulation, as kind of a form of, I don't want to say brainwashing, I can't even think of the right word, but some type of psychological thing, to where he introduces this book to her, which the main theme of this book is basically, you don't talk about Fight Club, you don't say anything, you keep these secrets between us. And maybe he's, drilling that in her head, that she doesn't need to reach out to friends and family about his abusive ways and the things that are going on in their relationship, because number one rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. Number one rule is you don't go to your mom and dad or your friends or your family and talk about how I put my hands on you and abuse you and do whatever I do to you, Gabby. That's a possibility here. And like I said, I don't want to seem like it's a reach, but you can look for yourself. You can go on his Instagram, you can go on his Pinterest, you can go on various social media platforms that Brian has, and you will continue to see this reoccurring theme of Fight Club stuff posted everywhere. And like I said, it's even on Gabby's profile as well, because we see Gabby reading the book at the stream. And what is so significant about Fight Club that it just has to be all over your social media platforms? I mean, I love movies. I love movies. I have a few favorite movies. But you won't see those favorite movies on my social media platforms like at the rate that you see Fight Club on his social media platform. So all in all, I don't feel like this provides anything significant to the case. I just feel like it's an interesting layer to kind of peel back when you're trying to understand the thought process of someone who does something like Brian Laundrie did. And maybe it's a little bit of a reach. Maybe I'm reaching here. Let me know down in the comments below, because I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about this theory, and I'm interested in hearing your own theories down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that thumbs up button, and as always, try to find some time out of your day to just relax and chill out and watch a movie.